Greetings and welcome to this segment on the number one nutrient that is often overlooked and has the largest impact on energy levels throughout your body. Out of curiosity, when you suffer a headache or an acute to chronic condition that is impacting your involvement in life's activities, do you take a pill to deal with it? What if I turned your entire world upside down when I suggest that it isn't the pill that is helping you, but rather the water that you use to wash it down? According to the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, written by Dr. Batman Gehelij, you are not sick, you are thirsty. When you become dehydrated from any particular reason that led you there, the body is impacted greatly. The whole organism switches from a growth and thrival mode to a protection and prevention mode. In the case of dehydration, the body recognizes the loss of water volume in the blood and in the cells of the various lower and higher organs and acts in favor of preventing additional water loss by turning on the drought management systems. Every cell in the body has certain water needs. In particular, the nerve cells of the nervous system and brain, which hold a volume of 80 to 85% water, are impacted first by the decline in water reserves. That is why dizziness, fatigue, and laziness are the first indicators of water shortage in the body. A dry mouth is only the last sign of dehydration, not the first. How many times have you mistook thirst for hunger, and as a result, you ate dry and dehydrating foods and substances that only exacerbated your condition? According to this very same book, histamine is a thirst signal, and taking antihistamines may well be counterintuitive. Apparently, when the body is dealing with water shortages, it produces chemical signals that physiologically stress out a message for the organism to consciously receive and translate as a need of the body. When this urge to quench your thirst enters your awareness, it is often mistaken as a hunger signal. No wonder we never associated drinking with actual nourishment, like we associate solid food. Though, the consequence of overeating is obvious: further dehydration and increased need in replenishing the water needs of the body. It is only when the body starts prioritizing organs that we begin to suffer the symptoms of local dehydration. The body prioritizes one organ over another, such as in the case of the body's needs to preserve the bone marrow and its cell replenishment functions found in the stem cells it produces. It takes precedence over the lubrication of the joints. Water fills up the joints in what is called the synovial fluid, which provides a cushion and protects the two bones from ever touching and irritating each other. However, when the drought management system is turned on, the body works to allocate water to organs involved in survival needs of the organism. The bone marrow is needed for continual replacement of cells throughout the body, while the joint is only used for the mechanical desires of the organism. The appearance of joint aches can be simply an indication of water shortages in the body. See, nothing can be accomplished without the presence of water. Digestion can be impacted as well. When the digestive tract receives solid food without being properly hydrated, the body must draw water from nearby tissues and reserves in order to adequately deal with the mining of substances. Imagine how digestive enzymes are like mining ships in an asteroid field. If the asteroid field is too dense, there wouldn't be enough space for these ships to travel in order to safely and comfortably reach the gold mines. When adequate water is provided, the digestive enzymes have more room to maneuver and utilize the waterways for nutrient mining and transporting. Truly, nothing can be accomplished without the presence of water. However, so far we have seen how water is important for joint lubrication and for digestion. What about its impact on our energy? About 2/3 of the energy being generated in our nerve cells of the nervous system is produced by hydroelectric pumps. Yes, you've heard me right. Energy produced from water movement, just like a dam creates energy by the pressured movement of water through channels in its barrier. The membrane of every nerve cell has what's called sodium-potassium pumps, which shuttle sodium and potassium ions back and forth through the cell membrane. When these elements enter and exit the pump, they use and replenish ATP. This pump creates a pressure gradient by actively pumping all the sodium ions out of the cell and all the potassium ions into the cell. As the cell is depleted of sodium, this creates an electrical gradient and a concentration gradient, both of which are put to use for many tasks. The most spectacular use of this gradient is in the transmission of nerve signals. Our nerve axons deplete themselves of sodium ions, then use special voltage-gated sodium channels to allow the ions to rush back in during a nerve impulse. The sodium-potassium pump has the job of keeping the axon ready for the next signal. The gradient also helps control the osmotic pressure inside cells and powers a variety of other pumps that link the flow of sodium ions with the transport of other molecules, such as calcium ions, glucose, and water. These sodium-potassium pumps are found also in other organ tissues across the organism, which suggests the notion that our entire organism is capable of recycling and regenerating the energy currency of the cell by merely pumping minerals and water through the cell membrane. Could it be that the act of using your muscles generates energy by the squeezing and expanding of water-filled tissues? Consequently, in such a way that pressures are generated and water is being moved around? The loss of water during these activities is already a well-established factor in the dehydration of the body, caused by the evaporation of the water secreted from the sweat glands. A factor that stresses the body and urges us to restore the water and salts that were lost during the activity. This urge is accompanied by this drought management system that turns on, which allocates water for the survival needs of internal organs who take precedence over muscle and joint function. Even the spinal cord is filled with water, and when adequate movement is produced, it allows water to move up and down the spinal vertebrae. Between each vertebrae is a space where vacuum can be created when bending the vertebrae. When you release that stretch on the vertebrae, water is forced up the column and fluid circulation is improved. Imagine a sponge filled with water. When that sponge is compressed, the water is forced out of the sponge. When the compressive force is removed, the water is sucked back into the sponge. This is precisely how discs stay healthy and functional.
Let's take a closer look at a healthy intervertebral disc, this time looking down on it from above. The pink portion represents the nucleus. This is the gel-like center of the disc responsible for healthy disc height. Water is held within the nucleus by tiny sponge-like molecules called proteoglycan aggregates. These super sponges have an amazing ability to attract and hold over 500 times their own mass in water.
It is impressive how water is everywhere and used with everything. From the breakdown of proteins into amino acids, water is used. Biochemists are aware of it by the term hydrolysis, the action of adding water to a complex molecule in order to release single parts. This transforms starches into simple glucose sugars, which can then be of use to the body. Essentially, water has been described in this video to take a role in digestion, nerve function, and energy levels, which all improve our quality of life when they function properly. Though, water is also the main substance of the bloodstream, the river of life, which transports vitamins, minerals, and signaling molecules, such as hormones, to nourish and coordinate body and mind activities. If you find yourself dizzy, fatigued, and even lazy, as well as suffering from a headache, joint pains, and digestion problems, you may want to listen to your body first and determine whether it is actually crying for water before you stress it out further with food or substance. Now that you're armed with knowledge, I encourage you to apply it. I'm Joel Jacobson. Internal love and blessings.